The query we are going to look at in this video is the crosstab query. The crosstab query is a query that will do a calculation for you in a simple and efficient manner. Again, we'll have a look at our data first, and I've got a table of data about vehicles. And we can see in there we've got various vehicles, different manufacturers, and a price for each one. I'm going to do some calculations based on the price. So we'll go to our queries, and this time, rather than going into design view, the easiest way to do this is using one of the wizards. So we're going to click on New instead and choose the crosstab query wizard, and then OK. This allows us to just go through the wizard, adding in the elements that we want. The first question is asking us which table we want to use. Well, we've already looked at that, and I decided that I wanted to use the vehicles table. So you simply select it from the list and then move on through the wizard. But always look at everything else that's on there. What other choices can you make? For example, that suggests that you don't just have to make crosstab queries from tables. You can create them from queries as well. So I'm making this on my vehicles table, and we select next. Then again, I'm just reading the wizard. Which fields do you want to use as row headings? We can see the row headings are here. What do I want coming across? Now, there isn't a right and wrong here. It just depends what data it is that you've got and what data you're trying to show. I've got an idea of what it is I'm trying to build up here. So I want the year of manufacture across my row headings. So I'll just select that and then use the selector icon to move it across. You can see that's now coming in the selected fields column, and in our preview window it shows that we've got the year made as row headings. That looks about right to me. So we just go on through the wizard. Of course, before I do that, if that was wrong, I could bring it back and choose a different field. You can keep going as many times as you like until you get exactly what it is that you're after. Next, which field values do you want as column heading? So we've got the columns this time. Now for the columns, I want my manufacturers. Basically, I'm doing a calculation based on the year of manufacture and who the manufacturer was. Then click on Next. What number do you want calculated for each column and row intersection? So for each manufacturer and year, I want to know something about the price. And I want to know what the total price is. So I'm going to use sum to calculate the total price for all the cars of that manufacturer and that year. We then click on, before I click on Next, there's a tick box here whether or not to include row sums. I'm going to take it out for this time. It's just a personal choice. We then click on Next. Give the query a sensible name, and then Finish. And then we have our crosstab query, and we can show down the left-hand side the year made. We've got 1970, 73, 75, etc. And then it groups together all the car records that were made in 1970 and splits them according to the manufacturer. So that's telling me that in 1981, the cost of all the Austin cars was £4,300. That's the sum total of all the records in my database. All the Jaguars in 1987 cost £10,000. If I switch to design view, you'll see that you can create the query manually using the query selector, but it's a lot more complex to do that. I would suggest using the wizard. I'm going to have a look through that again, and I'm going to dial up a different database this time. So the database I've got this time is all about sports members. If I have a look at the data first, see lots of information about the individual members, the county they lived in, and the fees paid. That gives me an idea. Let's find out all the fees paid in every county. So we'll close that down and use a crosstab query. So it's queries, new, crosstab query wizard, and then just work through the wizard, dialing up the options that you want to work with. Let's have county as the rows. Move on through the wizard. Let's have member type as the columns. And then we'll have a total for the fees paid. Again, I'll use sum, but there's lots of different functions you could use. Sensible name, and then finish. And there's our data all collated up. Put the county down the left-hand side, the type of membership across the top. So for associate members in Cornwall, £75 was paid. For full members in Devon, £180 were made. Remember that tick box I mentioned last time? That's the effect of leaving the tick in the tick box. It gives you a total for that particular row. So the total for Cornwall is 445, and that was just the tick box. So that's crosstab queries.